Well, hi everyone, it's Bronnie here again for another day in Bronnie's World, and I have an absolutely amazing guest with me today because, I'm so excited. I'm so excited to have Dr. Randi Shannon with us. She's a mum of 4 boys, lucky her.
Love it.
Boys. And she's a naturopathic doctor, as you can see. She has, you can actually find her on Instagram and Facebook. Mm-hmm. She is the founder of bodycan.com. So you can check her out. You can do all that. And like myself, I'm always talking to you guys about how your health or anything is, you work from the inside out. You shine from the inside out. That's my thing, shining from the inside out. And Dr. Randi Shannon is exactly the same. If you don't have your insides right, your outside is not going to shine. So this is why, one of the reasons I asked Dr. Randi Shannon to come on today was because she has what I believe is a unique way of looking at people's health through the face and the nails, but most of all, the tongue. Did you see my live yesterday? I actually stuck my tongue out so she could see it. I'm a bit scared of what she might see from mine. But anyway, so I just had to share this with you because Dr. Randi, I've heard her speak so many times on different things. I wanted to bring her to you. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Randi Shannon now, my beautiful new friend. And she has an American accent because that's where she lives, for those of you who don't know where you are, and she can look after you all around the world. So I will now hand it over to you, Dr. Randi Shannon. Thank you very much for coming on and sharing with us.
Thank you so much for inviting me, and what a privilege to be speaking with you, and so far across the world, and you actually got up so early to do this interview today, so it's much appreciated. So I am a mom of 4 boys, and I do have a very unique way of looking at the body, but I actually think it's the best way to look at the body. I don't need gadgets or electronics or a million years of school to learn how to use those things when we have something far simpler. So if you take a tree, for example, and you cut that tree in half, and you look at the rings of that tree, you can see if that tree was exposed to fire or pestilence or flood. And the thing is our bodies, our face, even our ears, our fingernails, and our tongue all tell a story about our life. And the tongue is actually more real time, whereas the face, there's certain sections of the face where you break it up. One is like your youth, like your young years, and then your middle years, and then your older years. And, even the ears will show if you have a heart issue or if you have a trauma. I mean, there's all kinds of things on the body. And why would we think that it's okay to look at a tree, but our bodies wouldn't be any different? And we just have to look for the signs. And if you're driving a car, it'll have all kinds of warning signals that do go off, and our bodies do too. It's just we've never been trained to take a look at those warning signals. And so I went through 3 years of becoming a naturopathic doctor, and I found that I had a real love and passion for not getting off and sidetracked on a million other modalities. And I just totally started to become an expert at what is now my true expertise and my love, which is looking at the face, the tongue, and the fingernails. Because like that in my sleep, I can see what's going on in the body. And when a client does come to me, if they're doing the tongue only, I actually am looking at multiple organs. I can see the digestive system, the heart, the respiratory, the liver, gallbladder, the kidney, and the bladder. I can see candida, I can see fungi, I can see all kinds of things going on in there. And that's just the tongue. Actually, also the heart. Well, I did say the heart. That was the first one I said. Underneath, there's also heart and liver. So just that alone is just a wealth of information. And then if somebody does a full analysis with me, I encompass the face, because if I look at the face or the fingernails, it's like a double, triple verification of what I'm seeing in the tongue. And so I like to really know, especially if somebody's coming to me with a cancer or an autoimmune or, you know, something far more serious. I really like to see those other body parts. And then there is other marks of concern that'll show up on other parts of the body too. And if that is there and I'm doing a full analysis for somebody, then I tell them I want to know what you have, like what marks are showing, like a cherry mole, because a lot of people think cherry moles are normal. They're not normal, or skin tags. And so I want to know what parts of the body they are. I want to see pictures of them and like what stage that they might be in.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I actually was diagnosed with fibromyalgia back just after my mother died, actually.
Okay.
So, and I actually struggled with that for a very long time until I came across Dr. Wallach, actually, Dr. John Wallach. But also when I was 25, I was actually paralysed and for a while, and I had to teach myself to walk again. And no one could tell me why. And still to this day, no one can tell me why that happened, because it was very sudden. I just literally walked in from work, because I was a nurse, and from my waist down, just went from underneath. And I had to actually literally crawl myself around. I couldn't crawl. I had to pull myself around my arms. So, I just...
Yeah, so had I looked at you then, I might have been able to tell you organs that were imbalanced. The thing about what I do with the analysis, which is far different from everybody in the medical system, is if you say, oh, I have a pain over here, or, oh, you know, I have this bump over here, or oh, I'm all of a sudden paralyzed, they're going to go to only a few things to figure that problem out. Whereas when I'm looking at all of the organs on the body, I'm taking into that account. You can't put a puzzle together, for example, if you're missing 5 or 10 of the pieces. It's going to always be an incomplete puzzle. And that's what the doctors are doing. They're only looking at one. They're only looking over here or over here. They're not looking at the whole body and all of the organs. And the thing is that the brain is so smart. It knows that it has to keep the heart alive. And so it will rob Peter to pay Paul, if you will, to keep that heart pumping. Even the brain can die, and if the heart is still pumping, that body can still remain alive. But when you lose your hair, for example, or you go gray early, or you know, things start to go in disarray, it's because the brain said, okay, well, those nutrients that we had over there, we need to pump them over here to the heart, and it will start to pull things from other organs, and therefore they go deficient, just because it's trying to keep the heart alive. So once somebody comes to me and I do a full analysis, I'm focusing on, oh, look, your spleen is screaming. Your liver needs support. Oh, your hormones are super imbalanced. And because it's all over in a certain location, that means it's more systemic. So we've got to work on more systems that create the hormones. So I take all of that into account. And so it takes a little bit of time to get all those organs balanced back out. And then it stops robbing. The brain says, okay, you guys are all good now, and the heart can now be pumping, and now we can just focus on the heart because all the rest of you are doing fine. So it's kind of a weird or a unique way for people to actually hear that, or to try to understand it, but the body will rob. And if you think about it, you know, I'm 54, I don't color my hair. And my hair is as blonde today as it was when I was, you know, a little kid. And all of my friends that, you know, you're never a prophet in your own backyard, so to speak. So all of my friends, you know, they still go to the hairdressers and they get their hair colored, Well, why are they doing that? Because they already have gray hair. They're having gray hairs early on. And so they're having to color. And it's because those nutrients are gone. They've been robbed. Whereas as long as you take the right things and you do it on a daily basis, you shouldn't lose that hair or that hair color. So alopecia, as they call it, you know, all the rage, male pattern baldness, female pattern baldness. Sorry, I forgot to shut off notifications. And as these things are happening, I don't know how to shut them really quick. So as the body is robbing Peter to pay Paul, then you go gray, you lose your hair, and none of that would actually happen if you would just get the nutrients into your system. That's it.
Yeah, it's really quite funny you talking about grey hairs. You know, I didn't have any for a long time. They sort of kind of really started to show through because I was naughty, went and coloured a bit. But and then I found that my hair colour was coming, because I'm a natural blonde like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And my colour, you know, they were disappearing when I was really doing what Dr. Joel Wallach suggested.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know, something happened, and I sort of kind of was naughty, as we are.
Mm-hmm.
And I've noticed that they're coming back, and I go, what? So it tells me that something is still out of balance somewhere, or I'm, you know, getting things in my system that I shouldn't.
Right. Yeah. So, you know, Dr. Wallach is totally correct with his, you know, good and bad food list: no wheat, barley, rye, or oats. And the thing is you have to be super careful if you're going out there in the public, because they're putting things like the oils in the foods, and they, you know, even super high-end restaurants are putting in some of the worst possible, like a canola oil. And all of these oils they're rotten and rancid, but then on top of that, they're pumped full of gases so that you don't actually smell that they're rotten and rancid. And so, you know, people in every Italian restaurant or fancy restaurant, and they're taking their fresh baked bread and they're dipping it into that olive oil, which is absolute trash. It's garbage. And they would have to smash down a bazillion olives to extract oil to fill an entire bottle. So they're actually mixing canola oils into the olive oils to fill that entire bottle. So yeah, and then they're exposed to oxygen the whole entire time. Therefore, they're oxidized. They're causing free radical damage in the body and incredible oxidative stress. And so, you know, that will show in the tongue. And I, with about 99% of my clients, I look in certain areas of the tongue and I can see that they've got damage, severe damage going on, or blockage in the heart from the fried foods, from the foods cooked in oils. And there was a study that came out about a year and a half ago, somewhere over in Europe. And it was in regards to the oils, and they had followed these people for about 7.5 years, and the oil was still in the cells of their body. These oils are like sludge. They're heart killers. And in this country, heart disease in America is the #1 cause of death.
It's same here, same in Australia.
It is. Okay. So if you think about it, I'm 54. When I was a little kid, my mom was cooking with lard, and so was my grandma. And then it moved into Crisco. And then now today we have all of the fad oils like almond or coconut, and everybody will argue about coconut. It's like, it's true, the coconut is so full of nutrition, but here's the thing. You have to take that coconut and smash it down and extract that oil off and eat it within the next 15 to 30 minutes so that it's not rotten and rancid. The longer it's exposed to the oxygen, the more rotten it starts to turn. And so while off of the coconut that's in the bottles, you probably can get 1 or 2 really great things, but the 5 things that it's causing destruction on aren't worth it. And that's why heart disease is the #1 cause of death in this country. No matter what anybody says, no one can convince me of anything different. So.
Oh, I totally agree. It's really interesting though that, you know, because the doctors generally tell you, oh, you know, have olive oil, and same as they told us, you know, don't have so many eggs and things like that as well. And you just think, where do they get all this knowledge from? Where, you know, when they're so bad?
Yeah, if you, you know, one of the best looking bodybuilders I ever saw was a guy who was eating like 29 eggs a day, raw, somewhat cooked, but I mean, he had amazing skin. He had muscles galore, and he was a natural bodybuilder. And another thing that doctors told everybody was to get off the salts, stop eating salt. And the thing is, if you have an emergency, and people just got to stop and think, if you have an emergency and you are rushed to the hospital or you're sitting in the ambulance, the first thing that they do is what?
Give you a saline shot usually.
Yep, they hook you up to that IV bag, and they're putting that, and that salt water has to be in every cell, and within seconds, probably 4 to 8 seconds, it's rotated around your whole entire bloodstream. It's going straight to the blood. That tells you how important salt is.
Yeah. It's crazy, isn't it?
Thing they do is salt water you up. And yet they told everybody to get off of salt. It made no sense. It made no sense.
And salt makes your food taste good, especially Himalayan salt.
I love salt. I will eat chunks of salt. I love salt so much. It's so delicious. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, so the Lord talks about the salt of the earth, doesn't he?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So what are some things that people can do to improve their health? You know, so to get back or get rid of their grey hair and get back to where their bodies should be.
Well, the best thing is really, and I know you weren't setting me up for this, but the best thing is to get a full analysis with me. And the reason I say that is so that, you know, they're not just guessing. And I can throw out some pointers and tips, but at the end of the day, you know, if the spleen is screaming, it'll show in 2 locations of the body for me. And so, you know, then I know I got to get spleen support to that person, or the pancreas. These things, when they're left unchecked in the mouth, when people don't realize that there's an issue, or, you know, maybe they're a diabetic and they know that there's an issue, but they don't know how to do anything about it except take a drug or something that's been prescribed. The thing is it'll put marks on the body, and those will be permanent scars. And so when women are going and getting Botox and they're filling all of this in right in here, they're filling in tons of evidence of organs that are in distress. And so they will just, every whatever it is, 6 months or a year, they'll go get their Botox, and they'll keep filling in the evidence and covering up the evidence of the crime going on in the body. And they don't know that they have a problem until the body really breaks. And, you know, I'm constantly analyzing different celebrities and different doctors that are out there that are making a name for themselves, and they're touting that, you know, this product and that product is going to work. And I just go, okay, let me take a look. And I look and I screenshot them and I send it off to them and I say, listen, you need help and you should reach out to me. And it's definitely piqued some curiosity, but these people have egos the size of Texas. And so they, most of the time, are not willing to pick up the phone. And that's okay. I'd rather take care of, you know, the everyday people that are out there that are struggling to just be healthy and happy. You know, if somebody, you know, is out there, their ego is so big that they won't pick up the phone to call me because, you know, they don't want somebody else to give them any kind of advice. That's fine. Walk off the cliff. I don't fight people if they want to walk off the cliff. I don't. But those that do want to do something, that's what I'm here for. That's what I went to school for. And after I got out of school, I worked with 3 trauma ER doctors. So I definitely have experience. It wasn't like a paid thing. It was definitely consulting with and being around them. Trauma ER doctors. I went and worked for an acupuncturist who specialized somewhat in the tongue. He would say it in a way that most people would never understand. And he would say like the tongue is hot. He was an acupuncturist. So, you know, he would just say the tongue was hot, whatever. They learn, but they still don't learn to the degree that I do, or that I do it. And so while he was helpful, I still had to continue on with my studies and also work with this one of the celebrity holistic chefs out there. So he just called me today. He's down in Key West. So like I'm constantly educating and getting around people and trying to save life. That's what I do. So if somebody wants to, get better and they are already using longevity products, my baseline for pretty much everything is a brain and heart pack every time. So, every once in a while I'll sway off of that if, they need a blood sugar pack or a weight loss pack or a digestive pack. So there is other really great ones, bone and joint, of course. If they're in pain, if they're not in pain, but I know they have osteoporosis or something like that, then I'll still probably go with a brain and heart. So if they're in pain, it's got that CM cream in it. So then I do kind of go that direction. But and they need to make sure that they're taking it to weight, and they can't be complaining about that. And I realize it does cost a lot of money, but do something, sell your stuff. We got so many material things in this world that we just don't need. And the thing is you can't take them to your grave. So,
no, that's right.
And, I catch heart attacks long before they happen. And I'll say, I have a friend, and several weeks ago, sadly, her husband died. And I had said a couple years prior that he had a heart issue. And, I could see the gray hair, the thinning hair, and various other markers that I was looking for. And hair is not the only one. But I said he had a heart issue. And 2 years later, after nothing was done, never took a nutrient, didn't listen, believed in the medical community. And in fact, 1 week prior to him having a massive coronary, they had done a stress test on him and told him he was all clear. 1 week prior, gave him the all clear.
He wasn't all clear, was he?
No, not at all. Not at all. And 2 years prior, my method said he wasn't clear. 2 years prior. So, and 1 week prior, their method with all those $1 million pieces of equipment told him he was good to go. And he wasn't. He wasn't.
That's what really scares and concerns me is, and I guess I have a passion to help people. I'm a certified holistic health coach. I've done that. Mm-hmm. And I just, like you say, you can't, it's harder to preach in your own backyard because, the ones you want to help the most are your loved ones. Mm-hmm. And they just don't want to listen, and they're still, sort of like you don't really know anything, but, you see it. You see it. And I can see it screaming out. I know I still have a long way to go to get my health where it should be because of years of damage. And not because it's sooner, but, I'm still working at it. It's an everyday thing. You can't just.
Yeah, it's a process. And the thing is, we in the health field, me in particular as a naturopathic doctor, I do not feel like I can be out there talking about health and nutrition if I'm not living it. And so I overlive it personally. I love to go to the gym. So if I'm about 115 pounds. So that means the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, for example, I need to take the equivalent of 1 scoop and a little bit more, right? Yeah. But I go to the gym, and in about 45 minutes of working out, you have sweated out probably every vitamin and mineral in your body. So you got to come home and do it again. So you already got rid of that. So I believe in immersing my body and bathing my body in nothing but nutrition. And then I'll probably still have another scoop later in the day. And some people listening to this are going to say, oh my gosh, she overdoes it, da da da. But I'm healthy, I'm fit, I don't have wrinkles, and I don't have skin disorders, I don't have broken bones or any prescription drugs. So there's that is, and what I spend.
You have no gray hair?
No gray hair, nothing. And the thing is what I spend on nutrients is what somebody else is spending on like a health insurance. And I was sitting in a restaurant the other day with one of my friends, and this huge group of people came in and sat down, and they were all, probably 65 and above. And the whole entire conversation was about the health insurance and this test and that test and how it would kick in and da 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 da. And it went on and on and on. And I said to my friend, I said, gosh, I'm listening to this whole conversation, not intentionally, but they're sitting here talking about health and their health. And so as we left, I said, would you be embarrassed if I give out my card? And they said, no, go ahead. And so I said, excuse me, I kind of just got into their conversation. And I said, I couldn't help but hear some of the things you were saying. And I'm a naturopathic doctor. And I just wanted to let you know that there is another way other than spending all this money on prescription drugs and this visit and that visit. And I gave them like 3 or 4 cards. And I said, please feel free to call, and we'll put you on a path where you don't have to end up in there for all of those things you have. So they seemed super grateful, etc. So who knows? We'll see if they call.
Yeah, well, you just never know. And I remember you on a recent call that I was on, Zoom that I was on with you, that you were on with, that I was on. You had mentioned, and I thought this was very interesting. In fact, it was only yesterday, wasn't it? You had mentioned that, look, there's all these other different methods like, acupuncture and chiropractic and
yes,
is it Reiki or something? And massage and all that. And they're all good in their own little field. But you had mentioned that they're only, like you're saying, they're only part of the puzzle. Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yes, absolutely. So I feel like, and based on my experience, I'll just give it to you this way. When I worked for the acupuncturist in Wisconsin, I worked for him for quite some time, and he was amazing at what he did. But the only nutrients that he gave to his patients were Chinese herbals, and nobody ever got better. And they constantly had to come back and back and back and back. And I was biting my tongue because I wanted to say something. And finally, one day I took him aside, the doctor, and I said, and I was a brand new doctor at the time. And I said, out of respect for you, because I was working for him, I said, out of respect for you, I have never said anything to your patients because I had no right. And, I said, however, nobody ever gets totally better, even though what you're doing is amazing. I love what you do. And he was fantastic at it. I said, but they really need more. And I know what that more is. And out of respect for you, I don't say anything. And would you be open to that? And his response was, and I quote, "Thank you for your silence." I was shocked. I was completely shocked. And I was shocked because he knew it, and he was way okay with them coming back and back and back and never getting fully better and not having an answer for them. And so he asked me to stay. He wanted me to continue to work there, and he wanted me to continue forward into acupuncture. And that was enough to pull me out. And I really didn't want to do another 3 years of school. But after I left there, I knew that what I was doing with the tongue analysis was critically important. And I also knew that I had tried many other companies' products, and they did not get results from my clients. And I have, 3,500 or 4,000 new clients just in the last year and a half. And they all will start to say, well, don't you want to know what I'm on? I take this and this and this. And I just stop them. I just say, listen, we just did this analysis and you have all of this wrong with you. I don't want to know what those products are or who has them, because they clearly don't work. They're not working for you. And I want you to go ahead and take them until mine arrives. And then I want you to put them on the shelf and then focus on mine, because mine do work. If you follow the good and bad food list, then the protocol that I set for you does work. The body cannot ignore the orders that you're marching out to it. I mean, we've had cancers that were super visible on the face. One client who on the side of her nose, they were going to cut the cancer was really huge, really big. And they were going to cut all of that out and do all, radiation, all kinds of stuff. And then they were going to take skin from her rear end or her thigh and create a new nose for her on that side. And I just said, okay, you can do that if you want, or here's what I would do if it was me. And I told her a total protocol. We did a full analysis, put it together, and I have the pictures. I'm actually going to put them up, zoomed in, so you don't know who it is. But we're gonna show the cancer and what it went down to. And she got it to a point where it was so healed up. I mean, her neighbors and everybody were just absolutely stunned and in awe that in a matter of months, we got that so healed up that it was just nothing but basically a little dot. And her dermatologist was still super adamant. We got to get that out. We got to cut that out. So she ended up getting the little dot taken off. But I think in about 5 months or 6 months, we had it from this to just a teeny little dot. So
that's awesome.
The body, if somebody's taking chemo or radiation, for example, they're already sick, right? So now they go and beat it up more with chemicals that are burning the insides out. And I've seen, I don't know if you've ever seen that, like a chemo burn, but I've seen it. I have a client who has had the burn all up and through the arms, and literally you see every vein and capillary, and they just become they just have so much scar tissue in there that the blood can't even flow, and they have to stop the chemo because they've literally done a chemical burn through the bloodstream. So it's really, really horrendous. So if the blood can't flow, the person's in more trouble. But here's the thing.
It's sad.
Yeah. And so if they're doing chemo and radiation, they're beating up a body that was already sick. It just doesn't make sense. And if it's me personally, and that's what I say to my clients, because I can't talk anybody into giving up what they may perceive or have been told is a life-saving procedure. So I say, if it's me, this is what I'm going to do. And I look at all the organs. It's always a full analysis. If it's somebody with a cancer, I won't even bend on that. And they do a full analysis. I look at all the organs, and we feed all the organs, and then we massively attack any cyst, tumor, or growth, and we get that to go in reverse. And I actually interview a mom. It's on my YouTube channel. Her son had stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He was told he had less than 3 weeks to live. Go home, prepare to die. And the mother came to me in her 70s and said, please save my son. And at 30 days, and I did an analysis for him, at 30 days, we had it stopped completely. And it's not from my mouth. It's coming from the mother, because I did an interview with her after the fact, and she tells the story. And I just ask her a couple of questions, and she tells exactly what happened. And, they did like 15 or 20 tests at day 75. The cancer was totally going in reverse. Now, this is one that every doctor on the planet says is not reversible. All you have to do is listen to the mother of the gentleman where it did get stopped and reversed. So.
Yes, because God gave us an amazing body to heal itself. We just have to give it what it needs.
Exactly. Exactly.
And that's what I love about what I do, is that I was born and raised on dairy farm, but I've always looked at natural ways other than, using chemicals and drugs. And my husband and I are both very chemical type drugs. And so we would try and find a better way. And so it was really just, and I think, yes, why would God give us this beautiful body if it couldn't do what it's supposed to do? We just have to feed it right.
That's right.
So, yeah.
And we're bombarded everywhere we go with bad foods, bad air, bad water. And so it's no wonder the body goes into disarray. And then the soil has no nutrient in it anymore. And the reason is because the water has been dammed up and the rivers used to flow and they're no longer flowing. So all of that flow was the food for the earth. All that silt and everything was getting washed around, and that's what was actually feeding the soil, which then those nutrients would grow up into our food. That doesn't exist anymore because we put dams all over the place. And so that's why the ground is just blank. And so you have to put the minerals in your body. You can buy these minerals and put them in your gardens also. So, you know, if anybody's listening and doesn't know how to do that, they can reach you, you know, your clientele or, you know, the people that follow you. And anybody who wants an analysis, they just go to the body can. And the reason it's the body can, it's not like a can. I'm saying it can. So the body can, as in heal itself, thebodycan.com/schedule, and they can get an analysis there, and let's find out what's going on. And then
Sounds really
the real protocol.
through the protocol. Oh, well, but listen, I really value your time, Dr. Randi, and I just, I could sit and talk with you all day, but I know you're going out. So I guess we should end it there, but now I could, like I said, maybe we should do this again sometime.
Sure, absolutely.
And yeah, maybe, I don't know, there's so much knowledge that you have, and I don't know, I just love learning. Learning is a lifetime thing, and every day I learn something new.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nope.
and I've just learned so much from you today. I think I have all these questions now.
You have more questions.
And I'm thinking, oh, I'm really, you know, but I know that you have to go out, so but we can do this again. And maybe if people do have questions that they have come up through your interview today, they can put it in the chat, and
Absolutely.
we can answer them in another one sometime.
Mm-hmm.
Or if we can answer them straight away, I don't know. But best thing is to get an analysis, and we can go from there.
Exactly. That's it. And I'm on Instagram, instagram.com/thebodycan. What else am I on? I have Facebook groups where we just, you know, it's all health posts. And I do post up pictures. The best to see the pictures of like amazing stories of clients. I try to do like day 1 photos, and then like day 30 or day 60 or 1 year later. I just posted up a couple of pictures of this woman who came to me. It's absolutely amazing. I wonder if I can show it to you really quick. I don't know if I can pull it up that fast, but in 1 year, she looks like she had a complete facelift. It's absolutely unbelievable, her photos. Let's see if I can pull them up really quick. It's stunning. Hopefully this doesn't put a ton of sound, but I think it does. I don't know if you can see. This is okay.
Oh, yeah.
That's her now. Wait till you see that's what she did look like.
Wow, this is completely different. She looks completely different, doesn't she?
Yeah.
Like there, she looks really quite old, and then in the later one, she looks probably 10 years younger.
Yep, massive change. So I post up things like this all the time. You know, here's a client where if you look at just underneath of his eye, how it's super blown up, and that was, I think, I can't read it, but I think it's 30 or 60 days, 30 days later.
That's 30 days, yeah. And day 1. Wow, what a difference.
So, and I just have tons of these. I have so many of them. My phone is just loaded with them. So I throw them up. You know, I zoom in so nobody knows who it is, and I just kind of circle where I want you to focus, and you can see the before and after photos. I have one ongoing right now of a woman with a goiter where what you want to focus, and I say it in the write-up, is focus on the little gap that's there. And it's just tiny because the goiter is all over here. And then I don't know how many days later, 30 or 60 days, this gap became huge and the goiter was shrinking. So, you know, most people think and her doctors were telling her it had to come out via surgery, and she was probably not going to have a thyroid anymore. They were going to take it all out. And I said, well, you can do that if you want, but then you're going to have to do this for the rest of your life, because you can't just have an organ removed and think that the body is just going to overcompensate. It's going to now be in a void state. So you've got to do something about that. So anyway, we're saving the goiter, or we're saving the thyroid, getting rid of the goiter.
Yeah.
So pictures are up.
A lot of people have thyroid problems and they don't even realize it.
Yeah, it's epidemic levels. It's epidemic levels. Yeah. So, and super simple to turn around. It just takes time and dedication. So I put that protocol together, and then they just have to implement it, because I'm not in their home. I'm not feeding them. And, so they have things that they're responsible for, but the results are worth it. A little bit of inconvenience now to avoid a huge inconvenience later. So
that I actually have a few friends who suffer with lymph nodes issues, and have for years. And I kind of have a little bit of a tear for them, actually, because I want to help them, but they don't want to know. And is that something that's reversible?
Oh yeah. So I don't like what they've done, like radiation or things like that, because it's like sticking a body part in a microwave. Once that chicken in the microwave is cooked, it's cooked. So, we've got to work around that damage. But yeah, in my opinion, the so-called 800 incurables are actually reversible. Okay. And I say that because of my experience. If I could help somebody that was stage 4, 3 weeks left to live, of one of the deadliest cancers out there, just by saying, eliminate this, add this, they did an analysis, and these are the nutrients you're missing.
Yeah. Because I must admit, I know at least one of them has had cancer, so breast cancer. So and that's what developed after the breast cancer was the lymph node problems. And
this guy chemo.
You don't have to see your friends and family in pain, but when they don't want to know they don't want to listen to you, sort of and I guess that's the hardest part, actually, isn't it? When you want to help them and they just
yeah.
No, but the doctor said this and the doctor said that, and okay.
But if they want to go off the cliff, there's nothing you can do. You just have to, let them and wish them the best. So
yes, well, that old saying, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink.
That's correct. So,
well, anyway, I don't want to hold you up, because I know you're going out, and because it's dinner time for you.
Yeah. So you have your whole day ahead of you. Mine's coming to an end. So I thank you so much for having me on, and thank you all for listening. And hopefully you're going to get some really great information out of this, and we'll hear from you very soon. If you did indeed come here through Bronwyn and you find me, get an analysis, let me know that you are working with Bronwyn. Okay.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Randi. And the pleasure is actually all mine. I feel very humbled and privileged that you came to share with my followers. It's really great, really awesome. And I thank you very, very much. And I will let you go now. So thank you, everyone, for coming and having a little chat with Dr. Randi Shannon. And she's a beautiful lady, And remember, here in Body's World, I ask you all to stay safe, stay informed, be empowered, but do not live in fear, my friends. And when you are looking after your body and feeding it what it needs, you will be powerful, beautiful, brilliant, and most definitely very brave. So God bless you all, and I'll catch you again tomorrow here in Body's World. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, Bronwyn.
Bye, Shannon. Bye, Randi. I got to call you Shannon again.